Mezco 112 Collective Catwoman is in the DorkLair. Welcome to another DorkLair action figure review. Today we're taking a look at the Mezco 112 Collective exclusive Catwoman. This is the website direct exclusive that I went up for pre-order I think in May or June of 2018. And it had quite a journey getting here because I think it was middle of November, it was marked as shipped, or it was marked as shipping soon, charging soon, one of those kind of messages that you get. And about a month later, maybe 3 weeks later or something, everyone got an email and they were all charged. And everybody just suddenly gets this email saying, due to some damage or something like that in shipping, they are going back to production on the figure and will be releasing it later on. They did say that for those people affected that they would give them a 10% coupon, so we're still kind of waiting on that. I did call and they said that that would come at a later date. Basically, once they all ship out, everybody will be getting their coupon for 10% off the website. And so this arrived today, and it's a great figure. I'm very much enjoying it. It's got a couple little problems, particularly its articulation is limited in some really important places. I kind of wish it was not single elbows and not single jointed knees. That's a pretty big bummer when it comes to a figure, or a character I should say, as agile and nimble as Catwoman. You can get her in some decent poses. I kind of like this pose here. And yeah, I mean, not the worst articulation, but for Catwoman and for what we've seen from Mezco, they can do better. They can put double jointed knees on this thing, quite frankly. But otherwise, great figure, lots of cool accessories, and I'm very happy to have her in the collection now. Getting a quick look at the packaging, you can see it says Catwoman along the front, and then it's got the sticker on the top. Logo on the side, nice and shiny. And then looking at the back, my favorite part of these exclusive packaging is it's got some really nice artwork there. I don't know if it credits anyone. I couldn't find anybody credited for the artwork, but then there we have the cat on the side. And with the regular head sculpt back on there, let's take a look at the sculpt details, paintwork, and the fabric. I think the head sculpt is really nice. It looks like a material. It looks like a leather kind of fabric material sculpted in there. And you have that seam with the wrinkles and then the stitching around the face. Really nice. I think the head's a little round. It's a little bulbous. It might feel a little large to me, but that gives it a classic comic booky kind of feel to it as well. So I'm a little torn if I like the shape of the head in particular. I kind of wish it might have been a little less lollipop bulb looking. But otherwise, really nice. You can get into the face here and see the paintwork on there. Really crisp, clean, nice, very beautiful, quite frankly, really nice. And then as you move down, you can see this collar here is like this separate piece that kind of can move around, and it's got a couple pieces, couple different like paint applications with the silver buckle. And then into the collar has sort of a pleather material, and then some throughout the uniform it has this stamped on or printed on black pattern going on, and then one of this gray part is supposed to represent a zipper coming down the front. Nice shiny material. My stitching all seems really nice. You can see the racing stripes down the arms, but on the other side you'll see the stitching there, and it kind of looks good. Like it kind of matches up with that stitching up on the top of the head, so it looks really good. You can see as the suit comes down the body, there's more stitching on the legs there. Really shiny and nice material. I like it very much. And then you have the belt here, which is a utility belt, which I guess I don't know if I would really count that as an accessory because I don't think I can take it off. But what you have is a functional lockpick thieves belt here with all sorts of sculpted in there, all sorts of like thieves tools. Really nice touch right there. But I don't know, I haven't been able to get it off. I didn't figure it out. I don't think it unsnaps anywhere. I just think it's kind of on there. You'd have to maybe take the figure apart or stretch it across to get it off. Nicely sculpted hands. We'll get to the other hands later. The hands are all very soft. But you can see some silver details in there. Really nice. And then as you get down the legs to the boots, very shiny, kind of patent leather as Catwoman would have it, with some buckles painted on there. And then on the bottom you have some treads and really nicely sculpted boots as well. So, beautiful looking figure. Really nice looking figure. And bringing in a couple figures just to see how she compares to some other Batman characters. We've got Joker on the left here. This is the Mezco exclusive Joker, the deluxe version. And then we've got Batman on the right. And this is the previews exclusive Ascending Knight Batman with those kind of classic blue and gold and gray colors. And then bringing in a couple more figures from the DC Mezcos. These are two of my favorite ones. You got Deathstroke on the right, and then you have the Batman Beyond exclusive version from San Diego Comic-Con on the left-hand side, fitting in really well with those two as well. For accessories, she comes with a couple open hands. This one's more of a kind of relaxed hand, and then this one is more of a claw hand, and they look really nice. Interestingly, these are super soft. I can't believe how soft these are. I've never seen that on a Mezco figure, but kind of really neat. And when you pop them in and off, the softness of them it makes it feel nice and safe, like you're not gonna snap that, very delicate peg right there. She comes with a couple gripping hands. This one's just a regular gripping hand here that you can use to grasp the whip that she comes with, and then this one has a finger out, so you could maybe have her doing some kind of action pose, maybe working with those little pickpocket tools or something, but then you could also have her grabbing onto the whip as well with this hand, and also potentially holding a gun, because it basically would be a trigger finger type hand. And speaking of the whip, she comes with this whip here. It's just rubber. I do kind of wish it had a wire in it so that I could pose it, but it's got the cat of nine tails kind of end to it, and it's very flexible, but it doesn't hold its shape. I'd kind of would like to have it twisting around almost like the way they have Spider-Man's wired webs like that, but then this can go right into the gripping hand right here. And everything's very soft and pliable, so very easy to get in and out. Very nice. She also comes with this backpack that you can put her arms behind and slide it right up over her shoulders. Goes on there pretty nicely. So again, this is another soft rubbery piece. Very modern kind of backpack. Thieves kit type backpack going on there. Store the loot. Looks pretty good on her. Feels natural, fits really nicely. It's nice and snug. It's not flopping around. The belt flops around a little bit, but you want to be able to reposition that if you're going to get her to different poses. She also comes with a pair of goggles that actually you can see through. So they're transparent enough where when you put it on her face, and it's got to kind of stretch around, so be careful with it. You definitely got to stretch it. Kind of gingerly slide it on there. But when you get it on and you get up close, you can see her eyes right through it. And I know a lot of people have been kind of waiting for this figure to come out so they could take the red goggles and put them on the black Catwoman, which actually comes with green goggles. You can move them around a little bit, get them a little more centered, but they look pretty good. I think this is my favorite head she comes with, this angry head, this action head. Got some little hair peeking out under the mask there, and the goggles will go right onto this one too. And finally, she has an unmasked head. Nicely sculpted hair, very comic book like, looking really good. All these heads I think are fantastic. I think they look great. I do wish it wasn't quite so bulbous, but maybe it's more the neck than the head really. Maybe the head sits a little high or something, but there's something about it that just kind of seems a little bulbous to me. But otherwise, really good looking heads, really beautiful sculpt and paintwork on there. And as usual, she comes with the Mezco stand that has the peg, or you can swap on the flight arm. And now to get into the articulation, starting with the head will tilt up this far, and it will tilt down that far. It's basically on a ball at the top, and it'll tilt side to side and all the way around. Pretty good motion in the head. The shoulders will rotate up this far, which is quite good in my opinion. And they'll rotate down and they'll swing pretty much all the way around. You know, a little hindrance with the fabric, but the fabric moves really well about the body, like as you twist the arm around and stuff. The elbows are single jointed and they only go this far. All right, so don't over articulate those arms, because that first Catwoman, I know people had a lot of stiff joints and the joints were snapping on that one. So maybe that's why they, you know, did another run of this figure. Maybe they saw the original ones and they were snapping, and then these came in and they were snapping. I don't know. But my elbows are really loose, so I don't really have any issues with it being stiff at all. In fact, they might almost be too loose. Like this one's very loose. One thing that you got to watch out for, so when you get it out of the package, the arms are so narrow that you could potentially have the arm spun around the other way and not realize it. Like that's the elbow. So it rotates at the elbow, and you want to make sure that, you know, you just test it out both ways just a little bit, just to see which way it bends before really articulating it, to make sure it's spun around correctly. But it spins nicely and the fabric doesn't get caught or anything like that. So I think that works out really well. And then the wrists, they have a, you know, typical wrist with a hinge this way. Which will rotate all around, like it's on a peg, so you can have the hinge wherever you want, and then it's on a ball too. So pretty good articulation, especially like, you know, if you're gonna get the claw out going that way. Where her articulation is really good, actually, is in the upper torso here. So she can crunch at the upper torso down this far, and she can crunch back that far. So you can get some cool cat poses going with her, with all of that rotation up in the upper torso. There's a little bit of twist up there, not a ton, but there's also crunch in the waist. So you can crunch her down that far, and you can bring her back up all the way that far back. And at the waist, she will turn a little bit as well, not a ton. So you can kind of get her rotating about that far. If you want to get a look at how far she's twisted. In the thigh, there's an upper thigh swivel over here. This side you can probably see it a little better. You can actually almost see it through the fabric. You can kind of see the swivel. And then there is a ball joint up in the hip that'll rotate around like this, and it'll kick up this far, which is pretty decent. And it will kick back about that much. It will bend at the knee, but again, this is a single jointed knee, and we're getting about that much articulation out of it. I don't want to push it because, again, I've seen some snapped Catwoman figures, but that's about it for the knees, unfortunately. That's a big deal to me. That really sucks, unfortunately. But there is a boot swivel down here, and then there's an ankle pivot, pretty good for Mezco. And it'll swing out that far, and it will rotate around and hinge pretty good. So there's pretty good ankle articulation, which is nice in a Catwoman figure. She'll do the splits. I'm a little hesitant to go too far because of the fabric. I don't want to stretch it too much, but she'll do the splits that far. We'll do the wide stance test, how far she can stand flat-footed. It's about that far. I think that's about it. It's about that far she can stand flat-footed. But her legs can spread out even more. So the knees and the elbows are a big deal. I mean, that really stinks. I'm really bummed out. I know I should have expected it because the first Catwoman has the same articulation, and I've seen people review that one. But as a figure, you know, they sent it back to production. Obviously, it's probably too quick of a turnaround for them to have any kind of like design changes, but a little bummed out. I hope they start working on a better body for their female figures and get some double knees on there and hopefully some double elbows as well, because that's really a bummer. I'd love my Catwoman to be doing some much more dynamic crouching. She just can't do crouching poses. I mean, it's just rough that way. It's just a real bummer for Catwoman not to be able to crouch on a rooftop. Really stinks. But you know, if you can kind of get over those issues, it's otherwise a fantastic figure. I think I'd highly recommend it. You know, it's just a matter of, if you're an articulation junkie, you're probably going to hate this figure. You're probably just going to think it's garbage because the articulation is really limited, especially for this type of character. You know, it's forgivable on Darkseid or something like Hulk or something like that, but when you have a character that's agile and nimble and flexible and all that, I want more articulation in those joints. Cool thing is, there is some really neat things you can do. Like, you can arch her back really far, and you can do some cool jumping type poses and things like that, but you can't do crouching, and I really wish you could do that. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out my other videos and take a look at the description below for links to my DorkLair collecting podcast, retrozap.com, and all sorts of other social media links. And until next time, may the force be with you. DorkLair!